Hello, welcome to this webinar. This is why the Manga Club and Murcia are the smart choice for British property buyers in 2025. My name's Liz Rowlinson, editor of Place in the Sun, and I'm joined by Darren and Natalie from Mikasama Realty. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Based right in the heart of Murcia. And here today, we're also with Emily Smith from Henium Associates. Good morning, Emily.
Morning, Liz. Hi.
And you deal with Spanish property law and support for visas, relocation and related issues. So here we're talking about La Manga Club in Murcia today. It's a standout destination for British buyers for some years. And we're going to give you a look at, try to have a snapshot of behind the scenes lifestyle at this evolving resort. And also about a new visa that could help relocation for Brits and indeed any other third country nationals, I believe. So, right. Could you introduce yourselves, Darren?
Yeah, good morning, Darren Brown. I'm the general manager and director of, in my accent, Mikasamo, and in your beautiful accent, Mikasamo. But let's go with both. Yeah, and I'm the general manager, and I guess the founder. And my job is to sort of leading the business. So yeah, that's me. It's my role.
Natalie?
So I'm Natalie Brown, I'm Darren's wife, and I deal with client support. So I kind of help clients on their journey through the process from the beginning to the end, and I'm on hand for them with relocation advice. You know, both of us having done it ourselves, we've got kind of a wealth of knowledge on it. So that's my role.
And Emily?
Well, I founded Henium Associates 5 years ago in this area. I'm a British lawyer, and I work here with a number of different lawyers in different ranges of matters, but we specialise in property and immigration services, not just helping people get to here, buy their property, but also we take care of everything once they're here and get their paperwork sorted out and help them with everything that they need. So we're here for everything.
Brilliant. Great. Well, we're going to kick off. I think, Darren, I think we're going to see a video first.
We are. We're going to highlight the wonderful La Manga Club resorts and the surrounding areas. So we're going to see here the resort itself, the Grand Hyatt five-star hotel, some of the sporting facilities, and then a couple of new property developments.
Brilliant. Let's take a look. Wonderful. Now I went to the resort a couple of years ago. It is rather fantastic, and that whole area around it. Um, can I ask about the prices of the properties we saw there, Darren?
Yeah, well, excuse me. It's good, first of all, to get your royal seal of approval on the location, and good to know you've been there. Prices start on the club from sterling 150, 200,000 euros, but anywhere up to recently we sold the property there for over 4 million euros. So a huge array of prices. Those particular developments that we've seen, the apartments start around 375,000 euros for a two-bed, up to a penthouse over 550,000 euros. Big apartments over 100 square meters, and then the individual villas with a plot can start anywhere from 750 to 800,000 euros, up from there, depending on your preferences and your bespoke design.
Hmm. Because there's quite an array of types of property at the Manga Club, isn't there? And these are the new modern ones, and there's ones that go back a few years, so there is a whole choice. So,
Yeah, it's huge. It's a big resort. I hear this often. I'll say it because it might give some impression of how big it is. It's 3 times the size of Monaco. So right on the cliff edge of the Mediterranean with the Mar Menor in front, hundreds of thousands of acres of pine forest, 3 golf courses, paddle tennis courts, pickleball, tennis courts themselves, football, rugby, cricket. The place is just a dream for people who want to come and retire or come and live there and enjoy the place. But yeah, get back to the point. Price is anything from a 1 or 2 bed apartment all the way up to a 7 bedroom villa.
hmm. So, I mean, in terms of what stands out, you've already listed a big lot of things there for British buyers. It's sort of got a bit of everything to keep all the family busy for a start.
Yeah, I mean, I'm focused more on the golf and the tennis and the football and rugby, but Natalie will probably tell you a lot more about the lifestyle itself.
I think that's one of the key things of the Manga Club Resort, because often when people think of sports resorts or golf resorts in Spain, they're thinking that they're inland, there's nothing else to do there but a clubhouse and a golf course. I mean, the thing that's very different with the Manga Club is that it's essentially a large town by itself. It's right on the coast, so it's got beautiful beaches, lovely Spanish villages and towns very, very close by. But the actual amount of activities on the club is growing almost weekly at the moment. We're well over 20 restaurants to choose from of all different cuisine. World-class tennis centre or racket sports centre that's got gym, kids club, fitness activities, academies. So there's really plenty to do there.
Yeah, I saw the very vibrant paddle social there when I was visiting. It was really, they've done great things there to sort of keep things moving on with the sort of the times and our obsession with paddle amongst other things. So what
It's
about yeah, tell me about the a bit more about the two developments and where they are.
Yeah, okay. So they're right in the heart of the club, just behind the club, if you like, near the West Course golf course, near the football pitches for anybody who remembers the England team training there. And there's a big area of land that's been open for development. So roughly 10 minutes walk into the centre of the club to the Rackets Club and the bars and restaurants, the pharmacy, the petrol station, the doctors, etc. They're right there. And yeah, overlooking the penthouse apartments have views down to the Mar Menor. The villas will look across the west coast to the sunset. Fabulous location.
And the is it the Acacias?
Acacias, yeah, very good.
Acacias. That's a bit more. That's very sort of a bit more high end, isn't it?
Yeah, they're beautiful, brand new, bespoke design villas. So you can get involved with the architects. You choose your plots and say, right, okay, we can have this many square meters, square feet built here. Let's decide what we want. Go and look at some examples, building materials, choose your tiles, colours, etc., and design your own house. So very, very exciting, and all can be done within 14 to 18 months.
I think the great thing about those as well is that it can be completely hands-off. I know some people don't want to get involved in a building project, so you can have, there's fantastic architects, there's kind of a design that you can go with, or you can make it more bespoke. So depending on what level of involvement you want, you can get a really high quality villa there in a great location at still a very good price for the resort.
Uh-huh. And who, I mean, who's buying right now?
Well, the wilderness dog right now are buying in Spain, to coin a phrase, but there's a focus on Spain and globally. Tell me a better place to live. Climate, cost of living, healthcare, education. I mean, it's just, I mean, even geographically, it's I would say the centre of the universe. I'll sound like a Yorkshireman, but it's really well placed geographically as well. So in the recent years, Belgians, Dutch, Germans, now Polish, Ukrainians, Northern Europeans flooding, British, Irish flooding to Spain in recent times, and highlighted in our next exhibitions this year, Americans in big numbers. And the great thing about the Manga Club is it's an international resort, a secure resort, gated with security, but a few minutes away in beautiful, natural, typical Spanish villages and towns. You can go and immerse yourself in the Spanish culture, which is exactly what you should be doing when you live in Spain.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, Murcia as a region is really sort of it's got quite a lot of long-term potential because it's been more affordable than the other costas for a long time, hasn't it?
It has completely. So we've seen that in the Costa Blanca and the Costa del Sol as well. And I think recently we've noticed certainly that it's starting to happen quite quickly now in the Murcia region. It's got all of the beautiful cultural Spanish aspects. It's very safe. It's very family focused. But we are starting to see, you know, there's a lot more big hotels being built. There's a lot more activities, just even new restaurants and things popping up. So in affordability, you know, it's still there, but the prices are now starting to increase as people are starting to really know where Murcia is. It's on the map now.
Yeah, that is a good point. Apart from the affordability, buyers often say to me they like the slightly more authentic fact of Murcia, that it's not quite as commercialized, well, yet as some of the other areas. So,
Yeah, having lived on the coast in the Costa Blanca in the north, we've both over 20 years together now. We've lived all over the world, but we lived in Marbella as well. And I have to say that the Murcia region, thankfully, is 20, 30 years behind the Costa del Sol in terms of being condensed and having a larger majority of foreigners than are Spanish. And I'm really glad about that. That's why we live here.
It's a beautiful thing. I think as foreigners living in Murcia, we're very welcomed by the Spanish that live there. They're fantastic and welcoming to us, but we still get to take part in that culture. There's still a real part that we live in Spain, despite some people choosing to live on resorts. You're really engulfed by the Spanish way of living.
There's a bit of a myth at the moment, a bit of a thing that's out there that so the Spanish don't want tourists here and they don't want foreigners here. That's not true at all. There's a few areas, as we know, that you might have stag parties and hen parties. Who wants that anywhere, regardless of nationality? Spanish welcome anybody to come here. It's a beautiful place to live, and a reason having lived in several different European countries, we've chosen specifically the Murcia region to raise our children. It's the place to live as far as we're concerned. That's hard for a Yorkshireman to say.
Yeah, you're not the only one. I'm seeing people from all over heading to Spain right now. Before we move on to sort of how you can actually go to live in Spain legally, just you as a company, you offer a sort of a full service approach, don't you, for people who are thinking of buying, then sort of living in Spain?
I'll let Natalie cover that one.
Yeah, we do. So it's really important for us to start off with the research side of things with our clients. I think in this day and age, we're really encouraged to do all of our own research and be so independent about the choices that we're making. But you know, we've been doing this for a long time. We're very qualified. We've done it ourselves on a personal level. So we try to really get involved in the very first steps so that we're there to advise on area first and foremost before the property. But then going through the process, we invite you to come out and spend a few days with us. We'll do those area tours, eventually get to the property, but we'll continue on. You know, we have a great client services team, management, rental, you know, we'll see you all the way through.
And I'll add to that, and I think they're all really good points. And to sort of picture it, really, we're a department store for property. And I'm an expert on living in Spain, and my expertise is property. What's good, what's bad, where it's good, where it's bad, which developer to deal with, which not to. But I'm not a lawyer. I'm not conveyancing. I'm not an accountant. So we work alongside professionals who are, and that's why we recommend Emily from Henny and Associates, because they're the people that we're pointing towards and say, ask them. If you've got visa questions, I've got an idea, but I'm not qualified to answer the questions, so I prefer not to. And I think that's really valuable advice.
Yeah, indeed. Well, yeah, let's bring in Emily at this point. Yeah, let's talk about you know, visas, what you do, Emily. Can you give us a little intro?
Yes, of course. Well, there are a number of different visas depending on what people's circumstances are and what they want to do when they're in Spain. It is not a difficult process. It can take a little bit of time because obviously now we're outside of Europe. We do have to bring documents in that have been, you know, apostilled and translated, but, you know, pretty standard anyway. But there are a number of different visas available. There are increasingly more visas becoming available. So, you know, it is not a difficult thing to come and spend more time here in Spain if you want to, depending on what you want to do.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, what are the most, in my perception, the most popular types of visa at the moment are the non-lucrative and the digital nomad visa. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right. Absolutely. Yes, digital nomad visa is becoming more and more popular. It's still new, but it's yeah, more and more people are coming here and living here with that and enjoying, you know, being able to work and live in Spain and have the best of both worlds, really. And the non-lucrative is also very good for people that want to come and retire or who don't want, you know, who don't need to work and so.
Yeah, the digital nomads. I've been seeing lots of families move over on that because it's a good way of you know, younger people moving over.
Yeah, absolutely. People can bring their families, children can go to school here, or with one person having the digital nomad visa. That's right.
And what about you also deal with the purchase process as well
That's right.
in Spain? Is there anything, you know, to make buyers aware there that
I think that it's quite a straightforward process. It's very important in the early stages to get legal advice because the contracts at the beginning obviously dictate exactly how the process will be carried out, and it's important to make sure that the property is sound, that you know the contract is fair to you. But generally, it is a straightforward process, and yeah, it's easy.
And I imagine you have similar when people are thinking of moving to Spain, you will have quite conversations about what visa quite early on when they're having conversations with Darren and Natalie about what property they might want to buy. It's a sort of a similar you've got to coordinate, haven't you?
Yes, you do, absolutely. Very often we'll speak to people that are interested to come to Spain with one visa that they have in mind, but once we speak to them, we say, well, actually, this one might be better for you. This suits your circumstances better. Because there's no, everybody has their own circumstances. There's no one size fits all. So it's really important to sort of gauge exactly what people want to do and make sure that they get the best of, what's on offer.
Because I think there's still the perception out there that it's really hard to move, and it's not, is it? It's with the right help. It's we're seeing lots of people doing it, but there's still a lot of perception that it's just not that easy.
No, absolutely. It is. It's much easier than people think. Quite often as well, we'll have people that do come over here without a visa and then decide how they want to live here and then establish the way to go forward with what visa at that stage. It's not necessarily, there are many ways of getting a visa, be it at the very beginning or as you go. Once you've decided where you want to live and where you want to be, and I think, it's very, in any stage of the process, it's easy to get once you know what you want to do. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Well, and do you think, if we haven't mentioned it already, what's the biggest sort of myth or worry that British buyers have?
Well, I think definitely Brexit with the visa side of it is a concern for people. And maybe just not being in a foreign country, not being aware of the legal pitfalls that might be there, fears of buying, properties and hearing stories of people that bought properties and then it's gone horribly wrong and they've lost money. That has happened in the past. There's been issues and things like that, but things are much more regulated now. And again, the key fact is always if you get a lawyer early, you'll be protected from those situations. So it's really the risks are not really there.
So in terms of in terms of just the buying process, if we just touch on that a bit more, you you put in an offer. Can you just briefly outline how it works?
Yes, normally once an offer has been accepted, there'll either be a reservation placed, which would be a small amount to secure the property and to remove it from the market. And then after that, contracts are take place in which deposit is made, and that's where all the terms of the sale are outlined. Then after that stage, within sort of 6 weeks to 3 months, the sale is carried out in the notary with what's called the escritura, which is the deed, and it's there that the keys will be handed over and the final purchase made. So, and we obviously carry out all the necessary checks when it comes down to making sure that there are no hidden charges on the property, or making sure that mortgages are paid up before the transfer takes place, and everything's in order like that. So.
And what's the typical? How long does it take? Sorry, Darren.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt, but it's that wonderful calming reassurance of a lawyer that I just love. And we're on the front ends and we're hearing people when we're at exhibitions or on the phone or wherever it is, it used to be that the questions were immediately property focused and location focused. We're now having to dig through visa questions. And the perception is we can't live there anymore. It's impossible. They've put the fences up. You can't go. And that calming reassurance of speaking to Emily was like, well, of course you can. Just explain to me what you'd like to do and I'll help you. And that's why it's so important that our clients are introduced to Henniam and Associates so they can give them that wonderful, calming, silky reassurance, like a dentist, really. And then I'm now going, fighting through everything. Speak to Emily, she'll help you.
Yeah, I think you're completely right, Darren. People come to our Place in the Sun exhibitions now, and it's all about finding the lawyer, talking to all the other, as well as finding their property. People are very aware that that's from a legal, safe perspective, but then the sort of the practicalities. So
I think Emily said it in what she was introducing there, is that pretty much everybody can come to Spain. There is a visa for your circumstances. So rather than people kind of knowing about one or two and thinking, well, they don't suit me, so I can't go, is that we really encourage people to speak to Emily at the beginning, explain their circumstances, and she will kind of matchmake you up with a visa that will work for you and your family if that's your situation.
And can I, Emily touched on mortgages, but is it it's perfectly possible. I think the rates in Spain might be slightly better at the moment than the UK. Do buyers get mortgages, Darren?
Yeah, absolutely. The banking system here is very open to lending. They have a slightly different approach to how they calculate your criteria of how much you can borrow. And without complicating it, they'll allow 35% of your income that is to pay your debts, but pay your mortgage in the UK or Ireland or wherever it is, and your mortgage in Spain. So if you earn €1,000 a month, 350 of it will be considered available to pay mortgages, either at home or in Spain, and that's a fairly easy calculation for most people. And mortgages right now at this time, around about €500 per 100,000 borrowed. That's a fairly easy calculation as well for most people. And you can borrow up to 80%, but that would be the maximum. 70% is more the norm of the purchase price of the property. So yeah, we affiliate ourselves or align ourselves with a couple of banks, and we'd be happy to recommend people who can help. Very simply, just give you a calculation of what you could expect to borrow.
And I think there's both sides. So most of the banking mortgage brokers at the banks we speak to speak perfect English. So there's no fear of needing translators going into the bank. But also you can get resident or non-resident mortgages. So you don't have to become a resident of Spain to get a mortgage. You can have a non-resident mortgage. It's done probably more often than not with our buyers, or maybe 50-50, but it's completely available.
Okay. And I mean, talking of finances, I mean, in a week when everything in the UK has gone up but hugely, horrifically, the cost of living in Spain, I keep hearing that from buyers that is an attraction as well, isn't it?
Completely. I think it's one of the main pulls we're seeing from buyers coming to us now is that, they've worked hard for their money and they now want to enjoy it. And I think the cost of living here is so reasonable. The majority of Spanish people still eat out all of the time because it's very affordable. It's great produce. Everything from a coffee to your utility bills, it's all very good value still.
If you go out shopping to British supermarkets, buying all the British brands, then you'll pay what you pay at home and more. But if you go to the local markets, the local butchers, the local fish markets, and you go to the local cafes, you'll pay €1, €1.50 for a coffee, and you get a biscuit. It's not expensive living at all. If you do it properly, you can cut your living expenses in half, literally.
Yeah. Definitely what I'm hearing. And I don't know whether this is a question for Emily or both. I mean, I'm not really hearing from buyers that are any of them are particularly worried about this sort of mentioned possible tax rise from the government. Is that the case?
I think from our point, it was just a real peak over 24, 48 hours. Everybody panicked. I think the headlines took it completely out of context and the phones were going crazy. But no, absolutely nothing since then. Nothing's been passed as far as I know. It's a lot more simple even what was being proposed, but
yeah. Well, it was scaremongering at its very, very best, and it was headline grabbing from a government that's declining and losing votes all the time. And they were trying to appeal to that small pocket of people who live perhaps next to a pub that has stag nights every summer and think, we don't want any more tourists here. So it's just, from our side at the moment, no decision has been made. Emily will give you a better legal perspective. Even if it was to be made, it would have to go through go through the government and then through every Spanish community, which would have the right to, I think, decline it, or there'd be a majority decision. I tell you what, instead of me second guessing, let's switch to Emily and she'll give us the truth.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Look, before things do come into law, they do have to pass through a number of different stages, and it is very common here that there is lots of things going around in the room mill all the time about different types of laws that are going to come in that don't, and they always sound very extreme, but they're never quite as it seems as well, because once they can be interpreted incorrectly because they haven't been read in their entirety, even when they are in force, and generally it's nowhere near as bad as it might seem in any case.
Yeah, no, I just again there's sort of a lot of disinformation out there. So I just thought it was good to just sort of clarify that. So I mean, what are the next steps in terms of somebody likes the look of that the video of La Manga Club, the area, like the sound of the fact that they might be able to move to Spain. What do they do next, Darren?
Encourage our clients to start with a media call, a video call, if they want to, and they can get to know us a little bit more, see if we're the right people, see if some of our staff are better suited to them than we are. But certainly start the ball rolling by getting in touch. Any legal questions, we'll introduce Emily, and they can go through those questions with her. But ultimately, I say this often, that's every sick of hearing it. I'll let you into a secret. Not everything you see on the internet is true. So you will see properties on there that are no longer for sale, are not the right price. The marketing pictures are wonderful, but the actual thing is not what it would you want it to be. So come to Spain, get your feet on the ground. We'll pick you up at the airport. We'll show you some properties, introduce you to Emily, show you the location. And if it's right for you and you find the right place, congratulations, you won't have any regrets.
Exactly. I think from leading on what we were just saying, there is a lot of disinformation out there. So please don't worry at home and kind of run through your head all the things that could go wrong, or is this right? Is this not? Just have that call with us or one of our team, let us kind of use our skills and our knowledge to help you for your personal situation, introduce you over to Emily to get your legal kind of doubts cleared up. And then do the nice bit, which is coming over to Spain and start looking at areas and properties.
It's a bit like the perception of we can't move to Spain because of the blockade of visas. There's a perception that estate agents are here to grab your money and give you a bad service. We're family people. We've moved around Europe with our children. We have an expertise in that lifestyle of moving to different countries. Use our services, use our expertise. We're here to help you. You're not going to pay us any more. And in fact, we could probably, in most cases, save you money by negotiation skills and making sure that you're pointing towards good properties, not bad ones.
Yeah, and you mentioned, I mean, visiting at different times of year is often really useful. And actually, I was surprised at how vibrant La Manga Club was I think I went in November. It was busy. I mean, that's one of I think some people have a perception that some areas they are more seasonal than others. And I think that's something to really kind of, it's an advantage of the area.
Completely. And I think that's why when we start the first kind of video calls with clients at the beginning, we'll really ask them nothing about the property to start with, is how do you like to spend your time? Do you want to walk out all times of the year and see a busy community with lots to do, or do you prefer it to be a bit quieter and out of the holiday areas? Because then we can start building up in our minds, we know certain areas, and then we start linking them with the property. So it's all getting to know the individual buyer and how they want to spend their time when they get to Spain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think it's seeing that the area has its own merits in its own, rather than it's just necessarily being the default option of that it's more affordable. And there's quite a luxury element there. If you go to the area, it's obvious.
It's a little known area, northern Costa Blanca, southern Costa Blanca, really well known. But this area of Murcia, the cities of Murcia and Cartagena is just incredible. They're beautiful, beautiful cities. And these outlying areas, historically fishing villages and farming areas, are now modernized. I mean, still got those things there, which are great. But there's really modern living available. The Manga Club Resort is one of them. But I hasten to add that a few minutes drive away, you're in thousands of acres of pine forest away from everybody, or you sat a little chiringuito in a Spanish village, paying €2 for a beer and 3 for a glass of wine. I can't really. I want to keep a secret to myself, but I shouldn't.
I think that's the thing. If the people that have heard of the Manga Club might think of golf, and it's not just golf. There's plenty of families that live there all year round. There's lots of tennis academies that come over to play tennis, but a few minutes walk, even you're hiking in beautiful pine forest. There's mountain biking. There's more than just the sport. There's now the Grand Hyatt with a wonderful spa, if that's your thing. There's great shopping facilities in the cities. Everything close by. So it's not just golf, which is is a real merit to the Manga Club.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, and that's obviously very useful if you want to rent out your property and get some returns to cover running costs, the year-round aspect of the resort. So
yeah, really popular. If you want to buy a holiday home and use and rent it to make an income, you'll cover your costs certainly. And there are certain opportunities in certain locations and certain properties where you could make a passive income. But living here as well, and we're seeing more and more now people wanting to come and live in Spain. I know Emily lives here with her family and her sons. We've raised our children here, and Emily, I'm sure, will echo that it's a beautiful place to grow up and raise your own children.
Absolutely, and very safe. We feel very safe all the time. Yeah, very nice, and like you say, the quality of life here is second to none. Yeah, really, really good.
Yeah.
well, on that note, I think we've heard, yeah, the resources are going to be accompanying this webinar in terms of the website. They can, your social tags. It's really get in touch with you and get out to Spain.
Yeah. Don't be strangers. Don't be scared. Get in touch, and we can have this chat. One-to-one on a video, on a phone call if you prefer. However you want to do it, but let's start the ball rolling, and we'll give you honest, expert advice.
Thank you. Well, I hope that's been useful to anyone watching. Thanks, Emily. Thanks, Darren and Natalie. Final word, Darren?
Now, the final word goes to the boss.
Oh, of course. Okay, Natalie.
We're here to help. I think that's the main thing. We really want to kind of just open that door. We're here. It's a bespoke service, both from Henium and ourselves. We're really here to listen to your criteria, your requirements, and then make up the next steps.
Brilliant. Well, I look forward to coming out to Spain again sometime soon. So thank you. Thank you, Emily. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Liz. Bye-bye.